"You are acting like my boyfriend. Relax. We are just having fun." That is what Briar said to me in front of a crowded bar while she was letting some random dude feel up her arm. So I walked across the room, asked her biggest enemy if she wanted to get out of there, and we left holding hands. Sometimes the best response isn't an argument. It is just showing someone what losing you actually looks like. I am Zane Fletcher, 28M. Work in marketing here in Nashville. For the past 4 months, I have been in this weird situationship with Briar Wolf, 26F. She is one of those Instagram influencer types, pretty charming when she wants to be, but completely allergic to anything resembling actual commitment. I know what you are thinking. Why stay in something like that for 4 months? Honestly, it started off different. We met through mutual friends at this rooftop party downtown, had incredible chemistry, spent whole weekends together talking about everything. I thought we were building towards something real. The problem was Briar wanted all the benefits of a relationship, the emotional support, the consistent dates, someone to call when stressed, someone reliable to be her +1 to events, without any accountability that comes with actually being someone's girlfriend. Anytime I would bring up making things official, she would give me some speech about not wanting to rush into labels and keeping things organic. But here is the thing about keeping things fun and organic. It only works if both people are actually having fun. I wasn't. I was getting attached to someone who treated our connection like a convenience, rather than something worth protecting. I was constantly walking on eggshells, wondering if I was being too clingy, analyzing every text for signs she was losing interest. Looking back, the red flags were everywhere. She would go silent for days, then reappear like nothing happened. She had talked about other guys she found attractive right in front of me. After 4 months, I had never been introduced to her family or posted on her social media. I was like a secret she was keeping from her real life, but I kept telling myself it would get better once she realized what we had was special. I was operating under this delusion that if I was patient enough, understanding enough about her need for space, she would eventually choose me for real instead of keeping me as her safety net. Friday night, we went to this popular downtown bar with a group of friends. I was actually looking forward to it. We had barely spent time together that week, and I thought maybe a fun night out would remind us both why we enjoyed each other's company. That was naive. Briar immediately started working the room, flirting with other guys right in front of me, full-on touching, laughing at terrible jokes, giving them her number for business purposes. Every time I tried to position myself next to her, she would find ways to create distance. I started feeling that familiar anxiety, wondering if I was being too clingy, too much like the boyfriend I technically wasn't allowed to be. I kept telling myself to be cool, but watching her flirt with other men while acting like I was just some guy who happened to be standing nearby was eating me alive. The breaking point came when this group of finance bros started buying her drinks. One of them was getting increasingly handsy, and I finally walked over to join the conversation. That is when she said it. "You are acting like my boyfriend. Relax. We are just having fun." Loud enough that everyone heard. The guy who had been touching her smirked at me. I felt my face burn with embarrassment and anger. For about 10 seconds, I stood there trying to figure out how to respond. Part of me wanted to argue, part of me wanted to make a scene, but something clicked for me. I realized I had been playing a game where I could never win because winning would require her to actually want me to win. That is when I noticed Sloane Vance watching from across the bar. Fitness instructor, used to be in Briar's sorority before some massive falling out. She was looking at me with recognition, like she understood exactly what I was dealing with. So instead of fighting for someone who clearly didn't want to be fought for, I made a different choice. I walked across the bar, straight up to Sloane, and said, "Want to get out of here?" She looked surprised for half a second, then smiled. "I thought you had never asked." We left together, making sure to walk directly past Briar and her new fan club. I didn't look at Briar's face, but Sloane told me later her expression went from confusion to shock to pure rage. Outside the bar, Sloane and I talked for an hour. She explained that she had been watching Briar treat people like accessories for years, always keeping multiple options open while never committing to anyone. "You deserve someone who is excited to be with you," she said. "Not someone who treats you like you are cramping their style." What struck me was how different I felt talking to her. For the first time in months, I wasn't trying to be impressive or whatever version of myself I thought someone wanted. I was just being honest about how shitty I felt. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. "I have watched Briar do this to 3 different guys over the past 2 years. She keeps them around for emotional support and consistency. But the moment they want something real, she panics and sabotages it. It is not about you not being enough. It is about her being terrified of committing to anyone." I had never thought about it that way. I had been so focused on what I was doing wrong that I had never considered maybe the problem wasn't me at all. I haven't talked to Briar since Friday night. My phone exploded with texts from her around 2 a.m. First, angry messages about how I had embarrassed her, then confused ones asking why I was acting weird, then attempts to play everything off like we should talk about this. Like adults, reading those messages the next morning, I could see the pattern so clearly. The anger when she didn't get the reaction she wanted, the confusion when her usual tactics didn't work, then the attempt to reset everything back to the dynamic that served her. The weirdest part is how much lighter I feel. I didn't realize how much emotional energy I had been spending trying to decode her signals, constantly adjusting my behavior to match whatever mood she was in. It is like I had been holding my breath for months, and finally remembered how to breathe normally. Was this petty? Maybe, but I am tired of begging for basic respect from someone who has been treating our connection like it doesn't matter. Sometimes the best way to show someone your worth is to stop trying to prove it to them. Update 1: Coffee with Sloan went amazing. We ended up talking for 4 hours at this little place in Music Row, and I learned about her history with Briar that explains why seeing me get humiliated hit such a nerve. Apparently, they were best friends. Freshman year before Briar started pulling the same manipulative shit with her that I experienced. Sloan had been dating this guy she really liked, and Briar systematically undermined their relationship by flirting with him and making Sloan feel insecure. When Sloan confronted her, Briar played the victim and convinced their friend group that Sloan was being paranoid. "Watching her do the exact same thing to you brought back all those memories," Sloan explained. "She has this pattern of keeping people around for validation, while making sure they never feel secure enough to expect commitment." What really struck me was how different my interaction with Sloan felt. She was direct, honest about her intentions, didn't play games or make me guess where I stood. After months of walking on eggshells, it was like breathing fresh air. But back to Briar's meltdown. Saturday morning, she showed up at my apartment, looking like she hadn't slept. Her hair was in this messy bun, no makeup, wearing the oversized sweatshirt I had bought her for her birthday. The symbolism wasn't lost on me. She was literally wearing reminders of what we used to have. "We need to talk about what happened Friday night," she said, pushing past me like she owned the place. "I think you made your position pretty clear. You are not my girlfriend. You are just having fun. So I found someone else to have fun with." That is when she completely lost it. Started yelling about how I had embarrassed her, how I had betrayed her by leaving with Sloan, how I was being vindictive and immature. The whole performance felt calculated, like she was trying out different emotional approaches to see what would work on me. "You know, we have something special," she said, crying now. "You cannot just throw it away because of one stupid comment." "One comment, Briar. You have spent 4 months making it clear that what we have isn't special to you. You just don't like seeing me realize that too." She tried every manipulation tactic: anger, tears, seduction, playing victim. At one point, she actually asked if I was trying to hurt her by moving on so quickly. The irony was unreal. She had spent months treating me like I was disposable. But the moment I actually became unavailable, suddenly, I was the cruel one. When none of that worked, she switched to threats about ruining my reputation in our social circle. "People are going to know what kind of person you really are," she said. "They will see how you treated someone who loved you." I almost laughed at that. Someone who loved me wouldn't have humiliated me in front of strangers to protect their image. The rest of the week has been social media manipulation. Vague posts about fake friends and people who stab you in the back. Thirst trap photos with captions about focusing on herself and not needing anyone who doesn't appreciate her. The desperation was palpable. Our mutual friends are split. Some think I was savage. Others think I created unnecessary drama. A few have privately told me they are not surprised. They have watched Briar string along multiple guys, while complaining that no one takes her seriously. The funniest part is that the finance bros from the bar have been hitting her up, but they were only interested in her as long as she was unavailable. Now that they know she is single, they have lost interest. Funny how that works. Meanwhile, Sloane and I have been on 3 dates this week. She doesn't check her phone every 5 minutes, doesn't flirt with other guys to make me jealous, doesn't make me feel like I am competing for her attention. It is like dating in a completely different universe. My roommate Ridge put it best. You spent 4 months auditioning for a role in Briar's life. Sloane's just casting you as the lead in yours. The contrast is staggering. With Briar, I was constantly trying to prove I was interesting enough, stable enough, cool enough to deserve her attention. With Sloane, I am just being myself, and that seems to be exactly what she wants. Imagine that edit. For everyone asking, yes, Briar found out about the dates through social media. Yes, she has reached out to several of our mutual friends, trying to get them to convince me I am making a mistake. No, I am not entertaining any of it. Update: 2 things with Sloane have been incredible. We have been exclusive since our 2nd date, and she is everything I didn't realize I was missing with Briar. She is confident without being narcissistic, fun without being chaotic, and actually seems to enjoy spending time with me instead of treating it like charity work. But Briar has made it her full-time job to try to sabotage what we are building. It started with accidental run-ins. Suddenly, she is showing up everywhere. The gym where Sloane teaches classes, the coffee shop near my office, restaurants where she has never been but somehow appears right when we are on dates. The coincidence factor was mathematically impossible at this point. Last Tuesday, we were having dinner at this Italian place downtown when Briar walked in alone, made a big show of recognizing us, and asked if she could join our table because she was so lonely. Her performance was Oscar-worthy. The surprise, the vulnerability, the slight tremor in her voice. When we politely declined, she sat at the bar in our line of sight and spent the entire meal taking selfies and posting them with captions, like solo dates hit different when you know your worth. The social media warfare has been relentless. Every post is clearly designed to remind me of what we used to have or make me jealous. Photos of her in outfits I had complimented, stories from places we used to go together, screenshots of messages from other guys, asking her out with commentary about how nice it is to feel wanted. She has also been working on our friend group, trying to turn people against Sloane. She told Kennedy that I had been emotionally cheating for months, which is complete bullshit. She convinced Tate that Sloane was just using me to get back at her, and that I was too naive to see I was being manipulated. When Tate tried to warn me about Sloane's supposedly ulterior motives, I shut it down immediately. Tate, I have known Sloane for exactly as long as you think I have known her, since the night Briar publicly humiliated me. There is no secret history here. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the right one. The most desperate move came last Saturday. Sloane and I were at this rooftop bar with a group of friends when Briar showed up with the same finance bro from that night. The audacity was breathtaking. She made sure to walk past our table multiple times, being overly affectionate with him, laughing loudly enough to be heard 3 tables away. Around midnight, she cornered me while Sloane was in the bathroom. "I miss us," she said, drunk and emotional. "I know I messed up, but what we had was real. You know it was real. What we had was you keeping me around while you explored other options. I am with someone now who doesn't need to shop around to appreciate what she has. She is not right for you, Zane. She is just doing this to hurt me. I am the one who knows you, who understands your dreams, your family stuff, everything." Her voice got desperate. "Remember how we used to talk about traveling to Europe together? About buying a house with a big backyard? She doesn't know any of that about you." That is when it clicked for me. Briar wasn't missing me. She was missing the control she had over me. She was missing having someone reliable in the background while she played games with everyone else. "The only thing I remember is spending 4 months feeling like I wasn't enough for you," I said. "Now I am with someone who makes me feel like I am more than enough. This is just a rebound, Zane. You are trying to hurt me back, Briar." When Sloane came back, Briar made a scene about how I had been leading her on and giving her mixed signals. Sloane handled it perfectly, calm, confident, didn't engage in the drama. She just took my hand and said, "Ready to go." Walking home that night, I realized something important. The right person doesn't make you feel like you have to compete for their attention. They don't make you question your worth or wonder if you are enough. They just choose you, clearly and consistently, without making it feel like work. Briar spent 4 months making me feel like I was lucky she tolerated me. Sloane makes me feel like she is lucky to have me. That is not arrogance. That is just what healthy attraction actually looks like. Final update: Sloane and I have been together for almost 7 months now, and it is everything a relationship should be. We moved in together last month, and I have never been happier. She is meeting my parents next weekend, and I am already thinking about rings. When you know, you know. The difference between what I have with Sloane and what I had with Briar is night and day. With Briar, I was constantly anxious, wondering where I stood, whether she was losing interest, if I was being too needy or not attentive enough. I lived in this state of perpetual audition, trying to prove I was worthy of her attention, while she kept me guessing about whether I had earned it. With Sloane, everything just flows. We communicate directly, support each other's goals, and both show up consistently. She doesn't make me feel like I am competing for space in her life. I am just naturally part of it. That sounds simple, but after months of emotional games, simplicity felt revolutionary. But you probably want to know what happened to Briar. The social consequences hit her first. Our friend group gradually got tired of her constant drama. People started declining her invitations because being around her became exhausting. She would spend entire nights talking about me and Sloane, analyzing our social media posts, speculating about our relationship. It stopped being fun to hang out with her. Ridge told me about one party where she literally spent 2 hours showing people screenshots of my Instagram stories with Sloane, asking if they thought we looked forced or happy for real. That level of obsession would have been flattering if it wasn't so unsettling. The Instagram influencer thing started falling apart too. Her content became increasingly desperate, lots of thirst traps with captions about knowing your worth and not settling for less. Her followers started noticing the pattern. Every post was either bitter or trying too hard to prove how great her life was. Engagement dropped significantly, and brands started distancing themselves from the drama. The real karma came from her dating life. Those finance bros she was flirting with that night. They pumped and dumped her one by one. She would post about these amazing new guys, then they would disappear after a few weeks. The same men who were interested when she seemed unavailable lost interest the moment she became available. She couldn't figure out that the tactics that worked for keeping multiple guys on the hook don't work for building something real with one person. She would come on too strong, too fast, probably trying to prove she could land a serious relationship, then get confused when they backed off. 3 months ago, she lost a major brand sponsorship. They decided her content was too unstable and dramatic for their family-friendly image. That was a significant chunk of her income gone. 2 weeks ago, she reached out to me directly, a long, rambling text about how she had learned from her mistakes and realized what she had lost when she let me go. She wanted to meet for coffee to catch up as friends and see if there was any chance we could work things out. I showed the message to Sloane, and she just laughed. She has finally run out of options and remembered you exist. I didn't respond. You cannot build something real with someone who only values you when they have no better alternatives. Last weekend, we ran into Briar at a downtown festival. She was alone, looked like she had lost weight, seemed genuinely shocked to see how happy and settled we looked together. There was something almost surreal about it, seeing her outside the context of all the drama, just looking like a regular person who was trying too hard to seem like she was having a great time. "I am really happy for you guys," she said, but her voice had this hollow quality. "You look good together." After she walked away, Sloane squeezed my hand. "Do you ever regret how everything happened?" I thought about it. She showed me who she was, and I believed her. The only regret I have is not walking away sooner. That night at the bar was the best thing that could have happened to me. Briar did me a favor by making her priorities so clear that I couldn't ignore them anymore. Sometimes the trash takes itself out, and sometimes that is exactly what you need to make room for something real. The lesson here isn't really about revenge. It is about knowing your worth and not accepting treatment that makes you feel less than whole. I spent 4 months auditioning for a role in Briar's life, when I should have been building a life that someone would want to audition for. The biggest revelation for me was realizing that love shouldn't feel like work, the way I was making it work. Real love is effort, but it is the kind you want to make because you are both invested. It is not desperate anxiety trying to convince someone to want you. It is steady confidence building something together. I look at what Sloan and I have now, and it is not perfect. We disagree about things. We have bad days. We are both figuring out how to merge our lives. But it feels fundamentally different. We are both choosing to be there, clearly and consistently, without making each other guess or compete or prove ourselves worthy of basic respect. Briar taught me what I don't want. Sloan is showing me what I do want. Both lessons were necessary, but I am grateful I didn't spend years learning the first one.